And a very pleasant good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition of Tornado Talk, where we talk all things Brevard College Tornado athletics. We have an exciting show on tap for you tonight. We're going to talk a bunch of men's and women's soccer, also football, joining us with some special guests here on the show. It is homecoming week here at Brevard College. A lot of excitement in the air. The festivities will continue to ramp up throughout the week, culminating with some action at Islamel Family Field this weekend, women's soccer at 11 a.m., and then the football game at 5 p.m. And a big, big week. Go to brevard.edu and check out that homecoming schedule. And I hope you can make it here to Brevard College this week. And if you can't, we'll bring you a lot of the action right here on the YouTube channel for the Tornadoes. Part of homecoming week on Friday night is a Hall of Fame induction, and a lot of anticipation about this class, the class of 2023. Scott Dvorak of cross country and track and field from the class of 89. Ray Gill, who a lot of the NATO Nation know as our PA announcer at the football and basketball games here at Brevard College. He is getting into the Hall of Fame due to his outstanding baseball career. Ray from the class of 2005. And then Joe Tuttle Tyson, a very accomplished cyclist here at Brevard College, especially on the mountain biking side. She's from the class of 2010. So congratulations to the class of 2023. It'll become official on Friday night. A lot of action around the fall sports lately as well. Volleyball was in action this past week with their first USA South tri-match of the season at the Boshemer Gymnasium. A 3-0 win over Mary Baldwin was the big highlight there for the Tornadoes. Next up, a trip to Salem, 6 p.m. on Tuesday, when the Tornadoes will continue USA South Conference play. That's tomorrow, Tuesday, at 6 p.m. on the road. Men's soccer, since we caught up with them last, a 2-1 win over Warren Wilson, and then a dramatic back-and-forth affair against Washington Lee in a rematch of last season's NCAA Division III tournament game. It went the way of the Washington Lee Generals, but what a ball game at Islamel Family Field yesterday on Sunday. We'll talk to Coach El Dana, Coach Mario Pinto, and a couple of the Tornado men's soccer players later about that one. Men's soccer will be back at it. Another non-conference affair, 7 p.m. versus Maryville on Tuesday. And then at Emory, more non-conference play in Atlanta, Georgia, 5 p.m. on Saturday. Football, talking about a back-and-forth affair. Averett ends up on top on Saturday night under the lights. We'll talk to Coach Bill Khayat a bit about that and as far as what's next for the Tornadoes as well. As some breaking news this afternoon, Grequencio Koger Jr., hot off an appearance here at the Tornado Talk last week. He was named Defensive Player of the Week for his efforts from that linebacker position. And then the Tornadoes will be back in action for the USA South Conference season opener versus Maryville. That's 5 o'clock Saturday at Islamel Family Field. That's the big homecoming matchup. Hope to see you there. Should be an outstanding atmosphere at Islamel Family Field. More fall sports include cross country, which posted some great results at the Covered Bridge Open up in the Boone area, just north of us here. And then BC Cycling had a big weekend at Camp Thunder, and they'll be back at it on the mountain bikes at Lee's McCrae this weekend. Men's and women's basketball schedules, that's just around the corner, believe it or not. Those schedules have been unveiled. They're open and made to the public now. Just go to bctornadoes.com and you can start marking your calendar for the men's and women's basketball seasons coming up shortly. Women's soccer has been rolling on a 3-match win streak, and they've been putting up some big goal totals. And a couple of players, Taylor Richardson and Nicole Arroyo, earlier today, more breaking news, honored by the USA South Conference. Richardson named the Offensive Player of the Week, Arroyo the Defensive Player of the Week, Arroyo the goalkeeper for the Tornadoes. Richardson has scored 4 goals in the last 2 games, including a hat trick. And congratulations to those 2 outstanding student athletes. Next up for the women's soccer team, a home game, part of that homecoming weekend, 11 a.m. Saturday at Islamel Family Field. Hope to see you there when the Tornadoes host NC Wesleyan. Well, earlier today, we were able to catch up with the Brevard College women's soccer coaching staff. And a great conversation there as we talked about this current win streak, the current strong play overall for the Tornadoes, but also what's next as we head into USA South Conference play. We caught up with head coach Juan Mascaro, also Juan Mascaro Jr. and Sallie Riggan from the BC women's soccer coaching staff. We'll go to that now. And welcome to Tornado Talk. And we've got with us our women's soccer coaching staff from Brevard College. Very happy to be joined by Coach Juan Mascaro, head coach of the BC women's soccer team. Coach Mascaro, thanks for joining the show.
Thanks for having us, Phil. Appreciate it.
Also with us, Juan Mascaro Jr., key member of that coaching staff as well. Coach Jr., how you doing?
Always happy to be here, Phil. Thank you so much.
And the third member of this guest triumvirate here is Sallie Riggan, member of that coaching staff as well, assistant coach Sallie Riggan. How are you, Coach Riggan?
Good. How are you, Phil?
Doing great. Well, appreciate you all fitting us in today on Monday. Do want to review since we talked to you last, because you guys have been on the road a bunch and then had a game this past weekend versus Carolina University. And so let's reflect back just a little bit before we get started. There was a game, Brevard 4, Toccoa Falls 0. This game was halted at halftime. It's going to be resumed on October 18th in Toccoa, Georgia. Following that, a 6-0 win over Agnes Scott, and then a 7-0 win over Warren Wilson. So get through that stretch, 3 straight shutout performances by the Tornadoes. And then that set up this past weekend, Coach Mascaro, a matchup against a difficult opponent in Carolina University. Tornadoes able to take the 2-1 win. Coach Mascaro, when you reflect back on kind of this stretch of the season, culminating with that matchup against Carolina University, what are your thoughts?
I think, Phil, that we did pretty well the last couple of games. And if we go one step back further, we had a couple of very tough games against Berry and Guilford. And really that's important to note, because it's how we were going to recover from those games. And I think the team did a great job at recovering from those games. And we were able to, get back on the winning streak and score some goals, which is always important in soccer. So I think we've done a pretty good job at that. And then this past Saturday with Carolina University, that was a pretty tough game. They're a pretty good team. They're solid. I mean, in all lines, defensively and attacking wise, they're pretty solid. So it was a pretty good win for us.
Yeah, no doubt. And, mentioned that goal scoring. All total, if you go back to the last 7 halves, including that first half against Toccoa Falls, a 19-1 advantage by Brevard College. Coach Jr., you're here with us as well, Juan Mascaro Jr. When you see that statistic over that stretch of time, Coach Juan Mascaro Jr., what comes to mind in terms of, obviously getting it done, finding the back of the net, but, limiting the opponents as well?
Yeah, I mean, it's very encouraging to see, that ratio of goals for and goals against, right? Especially as we're about to start conference play, hopefully we can continue to keep outscoring our opponents, which will win us games at the end of the day. But then at the same time, right, keeping them from scoring. So, I think the whole team as a whole has really taken to their defensive duties really well, which has helped us, prevent other teams from scoring. And then we have a lot of experienced players up top. Our 3 forwards that start our games, they're all seniors, and then we have some experience coming off the bench, and then and then some new players also coming off the bench as well, which help keep things a little bit more unpredictable for other teams, because they've been seeing the same forwards for the past 3 years now. So having that experience helps, and then sprinkling in, the fresh faces as well is helping us score more goals. So I think we're in a position where hopefully if things continue going the way they are, we'll keep scoring a lot more goals.
Coach Sallie Riggan with us as well, part of the BC women's soccer coaching staff. And Coach Riggan, we now turn the page from this non-conference portion of the schedule. There are a couple more matches, including the conclusion of that Toccoa Falls match later in the season. But now it's time for the start of USA South Conference play, and a big one on Saturday, 11 a.m. at Islamel Family Field, the opener for USA USA South Conference play. Coach Riggan, can you tell us a little bit about the mentality of the team and what you're seeing as far as now it's time to, even take it up another notch with the start of conference play?
Yeah, I think the girls are showing a lot of passion and a lot of grit, and I think that'll take us far in the tournament because it's not just about the physical, it's mental, and we got to grind through. So I'm ready to get it going on Saturday.
Yeah, it should be a lot of fun. And we'll stick with you, Coach Riggan, because you're also an alum of Brevard College. And this weekend's homecoming weekend. It's great to have a women's soccer matchup as part of the festivities. Tell us a little bit about, being an alum of the program, now being a member of the coaching staff, and, just how exciting it is to have a homecoming match where, there could be other alums on site as well.
Yeah, I'm excited for friends and stuff to come back in town, but I'm most excited about, watching the girls and see how they're going to show up to our first real game, and it's at home when we're starting the day on Saturday, the first event. So I'm excited to be on the sideline in this second year. It's giving me a more confidence, coaching the girls. I have another year under my belt instead of just playing with them. I think they're showing me a little bit more respect, which is fun.
Coach Juan Mascaro Jr. with us as well, also an alum of Brevard College. When you see the words homecoming weekend and, you look forward to a weekend like this, including a women's soccer matchup, what comes to mind, Coach Mascaro Jr.?
Yeah, I mean, it makes the weekend a little bit more special because, you're starting conference play at home, which is already, something that us as coaches, you desire. You don't want to travel the first conference game. So, you're at home, and then it being homecoming weekend. I think the first thought that comes to mind is motivating. I think it'll help motivate the group, it being homecoming and we're at home. And I think we'll draw a really big crowd because, soccer is a pretty popular sport here on campus. So I think just the atmosphere and the environment, I think will help us stay motivated and stay focused as we prepare this week for NC Wesleyan so that we can show up on Saturday and win the game and get our first 3 points in conference and then move on to next week so that and keep racking up these wins and then build a little bit momentum.
And head coach Juan Mascaro, of course, with us as well. This Saturday, 11 a.m. at Lamel Family Field. It's the USA South Conference opener, Coach. When you look forward to this matchup this Saturday, Coach, but also the USA South Conference slate in total, please, as you sort of survey the start of USA South Conference play for this particular club, tell us your feelings.
Well, Phil, conference play is always difficult. It's just a different level, and I think teams play a little bit different when it's in conference, so it's kind of hard to gauge. But what I'll tell you is that every game is going to be very competitive. I don't think. I mean, from number 1 to number 10, however the cookie crumbles at the end, every game is going to be a competitive game, and every opponent is going to be competitive. So we gotta take this. We gotta prepare the team for a competitive next couple of weeks. I think that the team is ready, but they all want to do a good job, and we all want to make sure we land in a good position in the table so we can make it further in the conference tournament. But the competitiveness of the USA South is pretty good in the women's soccer side.
Yeah, but no doubt about it. And all begins this Saturday at 11 a.m. We're already coming up with taglines for this game. The brunch with the Tornadoes, if you want to come out, for the late morning experience. Coach Mascaro, that's a little unique, right? At 11 a.m. start time?
It's pretty unique, Phil. It's pretty unique. But when you have the ability to host, a couple of sports on the same field, that's great for the school, and we're willing to be the brunch scenario here, and then football comes after us. So 11 a.m. is kind of early, but hey, we're gonna be ready. We're gonna be up and going, and we'll be ready, and hopefully we'll get a win.
Yeah, what a great way to kick off your Saturday. There'll be the football game later on Saturday evening. Friday night, the Hall of Fame inductions, all sorts of activities. Go to brevard.edu to find the full homecoming schedule. Well, before we let the three of you go, we're going to bring on, following this interview, a couple of Brevard College women's soccer student athletes. So would love to go around the horn and get your feelings on these two and maybe help introduce these two to NATO Nation. Kiara Porcelli and also Hailey Brien are going to be appearing on the show this evening. Sallie, Riggan, let's start with you. Tell us a little bit about Miss Porcelli and Miss Brien.
Well, they have recently been named 2 more captains, and I wish that I could play with them. Those are 2 players that I wish that I could go back and play. I wish that they were there during my time. So
very good. No higher praise than that. If you want them as a teammate, and interesting perspective coming from your alumni experience as well. Juan Mascaro Jr., same opportunity for you. Please introduce these two to NATO Nation as well.
Yeah, I mean, they're, like Sallie said, they've recently been given a little bit more responsibility on the team with their captain duties, and it's definitely well deserved. They're great characters, great people for the locker room. Pretty good players as well, I would say. Very consistent players as well, and we're really glad that they're playing for us and not somebody else.
Kiara Porcelli and Hailey Brien, both named captains now, part of the leadership of this Brevard College women's soccer team. And Coach Mascaro, I know that isn't something to take lightly. These two have earned that position as captain. Can you tell us a little more, maybe behind the scenes, how this manifested?
Yeah, so you kind of see, we knew we needed since we have 2 senior captains, we always like to have a couple of junior players, sophomore, juniors coming up, and you wait and see for who the group kind of tells you in the end who they respect and who steps up to the plate in leadership roles, and those 2 did. I mean, they are very good soccer players. They're very well respected, and I think they'll do a great job in the locker room, which is really what drives everything at the end of the day. So I mean, very excited for them, and I think they will do a phenomenal job for us.
Yeah, well, the 3 of you set the table perfectly for our student athlete guests coming up in just a matter of minutes here on this edition of Tornado Talk. Head coach Juan Mascaro and also Juan Mascaro Jr. and Sallie Riggan, part of that Brevard College women's soccer coaching staff. Really appreciate you making some time for us. Again, Saturday, 11 a.m. at Lamel Family Field. This is the start of the USA South Conference schedule, a huge matchup for the Tornadoes and part of that homecoming weekend. Can't wait to see you at Lamel Family Field. Brevard College women's soccer coaches, thanks for joining us for Tornado Talk.
Thank you for having us, Phil. Appreciate it.
All right, there you have it. A earlier conversation just a couple hours earlier today with the BC women's soccer coaching staff. And as they helped us introduce, we're going to bring in Hailey Brien and also Kiara Porcelli into the program. Great to have these 2 with us. See Kiara up in that upper right corner. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing great, thanks. And also joining the show, Hailey Brien. Hailey, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
It's great, doing great, especially on this little winning streak we've got going here with women's soccer. And Kiara, we'll start with you. Tell us sort of like the vibe of the team right now. You guys have put together 3 straight wins. If you date back even further, if you remember that game against Toccoa Falls that was halted at halftime, I mean, the Tornadoes have just been rolling ever since then. Tell us how the team's feeling in heading into conference play where, the stakes get even higher.
We're feeling good. Obviously, it's good to be going in after winning. It's all honestly confidence, a lot of confidence we have to go in with. It is a different atmosphere now that we're going into. So I'm very confident in our team. I'm super excited. I think we're going to do great, and I can't wait to see Saturday. We're going to start it off. I know a lot of girls are ready to get going. So.
Yeah, Saturday, 11 a.m., the start of conference play when the Tornadoes take on NC Wesleyan. Same question for you, Hailey. Tell us sort of the vibe of the team at this juncture of the season when we kind of transition from non-conference schedule heading into conference play.
Yeah, so like Kiara said, we've all been working really hard. We kind of have this next week to really focus in and kind of work out some kinks and anything else, because it's our first week off in a while. We've had a lot of games, so now we really get to focus in, get ready for this conference game. Conference is a whole new beast, and I think we as a team we're ready to face it and ready to get this game under our belt.
And most recently, an impressive win over Carolina University. And this was a tight one, back on Saturday, Kiara, a 2-1 win ultimately for the Tornadoes. But, this was one of those games that, the Tornadoes had to really lock in and win a close ball game. How important was that win in particular now heading into conference play?
That was an important win, and it was great to win, but it was also really, really great to see us put our heads down and put the work in to get that win. We worked really hard, and oftentimes it can be rough to come back from that position. That 1-0 position is tough, but we worked really hard and we put our head down. And a lot of times in conference, that's what it's going to need to be. It's going to need to be put your head down and just go. And I'm so proud that we were all able to put it down and just go and get that win. It felt even better.
Yeah, got the win there. And as the graphic shows there, we'll stick with you, Kiara, because you scored 2 goals in that Agnes Scott win. Reflect back on that, as far as finding the back of the net and how good that felt.
It always feels good. It's great. The first one felt even better because it was an assist from Nico, and that's always great when it can be play. And then I think the second one, it was just we got our passing down and I was able to catch the back of the net, but it always feels great when you're scoring with a great team.
Now, Hailey, Brien, a key part of the defense here at Brevard College, and this is pretty remarkable. The last 7 halves, dating all the way back to that rain, lightning halted game against Toccoa Falls, the Tornado defense has allowed just 1 goal. That's in over 3 games, 3.5 games, basically. That's a great stretch. And I know, Nicole Royo was just named the defensive player of the week, which oftentimes when a goalkeeper wins the defensive player of the week, that's sort of a team award in a lot of ways. And, great work by Nicole in the goal, but also great work by the defense, yourself included, Hailey. Tell us the mentality of you all on that defense and, how important it is for you to, continue to shut out the opponents.
The defense, we all have to work together. It's not any one player. Obviously, our keepers are amazing. Nico, Abby's played a few games. We all have this kind of mindset that we move together, we mark together. And obviously, we can't do it without our midfield who shuts down up top, our wingers who shut down up top. So it's kind of a team effort all the way across the board. But we know that we gotta lock them down if we want to win. We can't let them get the ball behind us. We can't let them score. So we just kind of all work together. We work hard and get behind the ball. That way we can lock them out and keep them from scoring.
Joined by Kiara Porcelli and also Hailey Brown of that BC women's soccer team. Now, we talked to the coaches earlier today, and we talked a little bit about, this recent news of the 2 of you being named captains for the team, making a grand total of 4 captains now on the team. And I actually got a little sneak peek at this because I was up in the press box and all of a sudden, for that coin flip in conversation with the officials, I'm like, wait a second. I see Porcelli and Brien down there as well. We've got some additional captains here. Would love to hear from each of you, one, the responsibility of being a captain and how important that is to you, but also tell us sort of how you maybe received the news and how cool of an experience that is now to be a team captain here for the Tornadoes. Kiara, get us started.
Well, I feel very, very, very blessed to be in the position I'm in. And I also feel so grateful that I'm able to be in this position and have so many girls that love and respect me. And obviously I'm still on the younger side of things. So it's also great to have people I still look up to and that help me form what I do. And then just having the responsibility, I feel grateful. It's great. And they make me proud every day. Every day I go to practice, they make me proud to be yeah, I'm the captain of this team. I feel grateful. And obviously it is more responsibility and I'm going to take it and I'm going to do my best with it. but I'm grateful, and I'm grateful to have Hailey learning and doing it with me by my side.
Yeah, Hailey, Brien also recently named a captain for the Tornadoes. Tell us, how the experience has been so far for you.
Kind of just echo Kiara. I'm very grateful to have this position. Grateful that I have the respect of my teammates that I do to let me be even offered this position. These girls work so hard, and being out there with them, watching them do that makes me want to work harder, makes me want to be better. And I couldn't be here without them. I mean, captain doesn't mean anything without your team. So I'm just very grateful for them always pushing me to be better. And that way I can push them to be better as well.
Outstanding stuff. And congratulations, real testament to the leadership you all are already showing. Well, let's move from the pitch to the classroom, and love to know what each of you are up to, perhaps what your major is and what you're working on this semester in particular. Kiara, tell us what you're up to academically.
Academically, I am an elementary education major, so I have a couple classes for that. I have some cool classes that I'm into. Like, I have a speech and development class that I find pretty cool. And then a couple still on my gen ed, still taking a lot of my required classes, but it's going pretty good so far. And with our team, I mean, everyone is super helpful. So if ever I need anyone, somebody's going to help me tutor. So it's great so far.
Outstanding. And Hailey, Brien, let us know what you're up to in the classroom.
Yeah, so I'm a bio major, which my schedule is very full right now. I have a couple of hard classes that I'm trying to get through, but again, we have plenty of people on the team who have been through those classes there to help if I need it. Right now things are pretty light, but I know soon it's going to pick up, and once tests start coming around, it's going to get a little difficult, but I know I always have the help of my team if I need it, and tutors there for me, so not too worried about it.
Very good. From BC Women's Soccer, Kiara Porcelli, and also Hailey Brien. Once again, be sure to come out Saturday, 11 a.m. when BC hosts NC Wesleyan at Islamel Family Field, part of the homecoming celebration. There's going to be a lot of excitement in the air this weekend across Brevard College, and can't wait for the women's soccer part of that equation on Saturday morning. Well, before we let you go, kind of a tradition here at Tornado Talk, the opportunity for any shout outs or thank yous, anyone who you want to just say hello to. The floor is yours, Kiara Porcelli.
I just want to say hi to my mama. So, hi, Mom. And my dad. Hi, Mom.
Well done. Keeping it close to home, keeping it simple. Appreciate that answer. Hailey Brien, the floor is yours. Take as long as you want. Shout outs and thank yous.
Yeah, also just want to shout out my family for always pushing me. I wouldn't be here without them. My roommate's family, the Mayer family, love them. They're also my family now as well. And then obviously the team, because without them I wouldn't be anything. So there you go.
Very good. Well, really enjoyed having each of you on Tornado Talk. We'll see you at Islamel Family Field on Saturday. Can't wait for that when the Tornadoes take on NC Wesleyan in the USA South Conference opener. Kiara Porcelli and Hailey Brien, two of the most recent captains of the Tornado Women's Soccer program. Thanks for joining the program.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And away they go. We're going to quickly switch gears here and invite in from men's soccer head coach El Dana and also assistant coach Mario Pinto. And it's been an exciting start to the men's soccer season thus far as the coaches have entered Tornado Talk. Coach El Dana, thanks for joining the program.
Hey, Phil. How are you?
Doing great. And also assistant coach Mario Pinto. Welcome aboard, Mario.
Thanks, Phil. How you doing today?
Doing great. Great to have you. Well, do want to kind of think back a little while because it's been a little bit since we've had you all on, and I want to reflect back first on a 2-1 win over Warren Wilson, which was an important win for the Tornadoes in this early season and in this non-conference part. But would love to start with you on that, Coach Dana. 2-1, the victory over Warren Wilson. Always important to get a victory in this stage of the season. Can you reflect back on that matchup in particular for our audience?
Sure. I mean, in general, every year we try to play as strong a schedule as we can early in the season, and just like last year, there's going to be some wins, but there's going to be some losses. We on purpose picked Warren Wilson early in the season because they always give us a tough game. So yeah, I mean, it's how we, with that many new players, find out what each one is capable of, and how to best put them on the field, which formations work the best. And we're still in that process, and we're beginning to get to the point that we feel that we know everybody well enough, and the team is ready to just have the best formation out there.
Yeah, and Coach Pinto, that Warren Wilson game and some of the other matchups I've seen early on here, we have seen a lot of players see action and see minutes and a lot of different combinations of lineups and so forth. Can you talk about that a little bit, and how important the program that you oversee as well, the reserves team, is such a big part of that equation as far as providing all the pieces for the Tornadoes to have success?
Yes, definitely. Just like Coach El said, it's really important for us in the beginning of the season to have this, give the new players, the players that just got in from the reserves, the freshmen that, need minutes, give them those minutes so we can see how they're playing. We can see them actually playing the formation that we want, trying to make them understand how we will play and get those players ready for the conference. That's really good, and especially with the reserves, we had a really good group of players that played last year with our reserves. This year, we brought in with the first team. We have around 10 players from the reserves last year. So it's really good to see them develop and be able to play in this level and also contribute to the team. So that's the main idea on the first couple games, just to get some mileage on those players and make sure we connect everyone and be ready for the conference games.
And the reserves team will be in action on Thursday versus Mars Hill. A great product. I hope fans can come out and root on the reserves team. 7 o'clock right at Eyes Lamel Family Field. Well, there was a match against Carolina University, a very, very tough opponent, and then a trip to Averett, and that one got canceled due to lightning. And that all led up, and it culminated with this matchup that is, talking about a match, Coach L, that we had circled on our calendar from the second that the schedule was released, was this rematch with Washington Lee, who the Tornadoes played in their first ever NCAA Division III tournament game last fall. Washington Lee comes down here to Brevard College, and this was a thriller. Washington Lee ends up on top 3-2, but ebbs and flows of the Tornadoes. From my vantage point, I played as tough as you could hope for, and what a performance by both clubs, and really just a classic ball game at Eyes Lamel Family Field. I would love for your reflection, Coach, on that game in particular, but also what it means for the program. Washington Lee had the win in the first round last fall, and now BC playing toe-to-toe with them just one day ago.
Yeah, all these I guess rite of passage games bring the program to new levels. Making the tournament last year, of course, was a mark in the journey of this program, and we feel that we didn't really show what we had as best representation of this program because of how banged up and tired and really exhausted we were in that game. So, like you said, we had this game, we were looking forward to it because we wanted to prove not only that we belong in this level, but also that we can compete with these guys and try to make another run this year. And that's exactly what happened. It was very circumstantial that we didn't get a better result that game, but I came out of it much more. I took as much pleasure as it would have been to beat them or tie them as much as how we played. And like I said, we played such a strong schedule for a reason. And now we feel not only that we know everybody, but we know what formation to use. And that's perfect. Just a couple of games shy from starting conference.
Yeah, in a couple more coming up, which will again be a big test for the Tornadoes. Tomorrow, Tuesday, in Maryville, Tennessee, an old USA South Conference rival, now a non-conference game on Tuesday. Coach Pinto, as far as the team goes, the preparation goes, this matchup against Maryville, tell us just how important that is, for the Tornadoes to, get going on the winning side.
Definitely. It's we had these 3 big games against Washington Lee, Maryville, and we have Emory on the weekend too. We know it would be the toughest week in the conference, and we're just glad that the way we play against Washington Lee, and I'm sure that we stand playing that way. For sure, we're gonna face any opponent, face to face, and we're gonna try to, play for the win always. But definitely a tough game against Maryville. We're gonna get the boys on the road and make sure we try to get that win. That will be a really important win for us, and get that win and go to Atlanta and play Emory as well. Will be two key games on our season.
Yeah, but you mentioned it, the Maryville game, and then men's soccer at Emory, 5:00 Saturday, and then the USA South Conference schedule starts the following Saturday on September the 30th versus Southern Virginia. Ultimately, the USA South Conference games are what are mean the most, I guess, in terms of propelling yourself into the postseason and so forth. But we talked about it earlier with some of these other opponents, Coach L, Maryville and then Emory. These are critical games to get the team's momentum heading in the right direction and ultimately head into conference play with the best possible chance.
Yeah, every coach has their own philosophy, and I've seen people schedule a little weaker and try to get wins and try to build confidence, I guess. I don't view it that way at all. I think if you want to bring the program to a different level, you need to play as good a schedule as you can. At some point in time, you're going to start picking those wins as well, and that's going to show on seedings, maybe in postseason, strength of schedule, but definitely preparation for conference. Like I said, it's no longer ago. Last year, we lost quite a few early, and the rest is history, as you know. So we're very confident right now. We really are, and we have a losing record. So I think it's paying off. Of course, you got to repeat and do it again. We played a great game yesterday. We got to do it again tomorrow, because we do have the bullseye. Everybody wants to beat the champions. And Maryville does have a history with us, as you know. But I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be, they always have a good atmosphere. Lots of people come out and watch, and you'll be a good experience for the guys. And like I said, everything prepares us for conference.
Yeah, and Coach L, one thing I'm noticing about this year's club is this blending of players who had the experience last year, making it all the way to the NCAA tournament. We charted in total 13 players on the Tornadoes had experience in last year's game against Washington Lee, and were part of this year's club heading into yesterday's game. But then some key newcomers who have made big impacts. In particular, we're going to have one of them on the show in a little bit. A couple of freshmen, Santiago Romero and Luis Portillo, both from down in Miami. But we're seeing other contributors as well who might not be familiar names, but perhaps had been kind of waiting in the wings with the reserves team and whatnot, and are now becoming impactful. Would love for your comments as far as how this year's roster is sort of taking shape, both the veterans have been around, but also these newcomers making a big impact.
Yeah, when you want to bring that the program to that level, you cannot only rely on returners, because they're going to graduate. That's the goal. So by always having that fresh new blood incorporated into the roster, you're guaranteed that from year to year, even if you have a quote unquote rebuilding year, you're still going to be strong, and we feel exactly like that. And we feel that even the returners, we haven't seen the best out of anybody or everybody yet, which, again, if you're shooting for a long season, you don't want to overpeak, right? But yeah, we're excited about the returners. We're excited about the newcomers, and we're excited about where we are and where we're heading.
Outstanding. Well, speaking of this year's roster, if the two of you can stick around just a little bit longer here, we're going to invite in a couple of the BC men's soccer student athletes into the program. We have Colin McCabe is here joining us, and also Luis Portillo. And Coach Pinto, we'll start with you. Help introduce these two to NATO Nation. You work with these two student athletes on almost a daily basis. Tell us about them.
Yeah, would love to present those two players for you guys. First time, I believe they're on the show. So we have Colin. great player. He just made an instant impact on our program. Player that play a key role on our team. So Colin, and on the side is Luis Portillo, freshman, true freshman, straight from from high school. Sometimes it takes time, that little transition to from high school to the college level, and him, and we have Santi as well, and a couple other players that kind of make that look easy, but definitely really proud of them and the way that they have been playing.
Very good. Coach L, tell us even more about these two gentlemen.
Yeah, the thing about guys that come into established program, and like Mario said, there's a learning curve. Is the technical and tactical part of it is just as important as character and leadership, and they're two examples of it. It doesn't matter if you're a freshman or a transfer. Both of them have multiple years of eligibility, but technically, Colin is a senior. He's going to be able to exhaust eligibility as a graduate, but they both show leadership, different styles, and that's so as important. It's so important because you feel that they will contribute on a day that they're playing well, on a day that they are just working hard and contributing in other ways. So they're reliable.
Outstanding. Well, Coach Eldana, Coach Mario Pinto, best of luck this week. A couple big road matches at Maryville and at Emory. Can't wait to see you back on campus after those. And thanks for joining us this evening on Tornado Talk.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
All right, there they go. And we're able to help us introduce Colin McCabe in that upper right corner. Colin, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Outstanding. And also Luis Portillo has joined us, making the debut here on Tornado Talk. Luis, how are you?
Good. And yourself, Phil?
Outstanding. Well, it's a lot of fun to have each of you on here for the first time. And Colin, let's start with you. Tell us a little bit about the mindset of the team. I mean, that was a absolute battle back and forth yesterday with Washington Lee. You guys laid it all out there on the line. I know it wasn't the result you wanted coming, away 3-2, but you have to feel good at the same time. That's one of the better programs in the country, and the Tornadoes hung with them every step of the way. Tell us a little bit, Colin, as far as, how the team's feeling today. You got to get right back after it tomorrow versus Maryville. Where's the team at right now from your perspective and, being there in that locker room?
I mean, yeah, I think we had, a solid 85 minutes, but turned off for 2 minutes, and they get a set piece and then a lucky goal. But, the guys today are good. Still arguing with Rocco about whether it's a penalty or not. But, I think we're taking the positives from it. Like you said, it's a good team. So I think even though we lost, we're taking the positives, trying to move in a good direction. Big game tomorrow. Really big game on Saturday. So I think overall we're in a good headspace.
Yeah, absolutely. Great to hear. And, no better opportunity than just get right back after it on Tuesday versus Maryville. Also joined by Luis Portillo, freshman out of Miami, Florida. Luis, tell us a little bit about how your season has been going, but also, how you feel that the Tornado season's been going so far. Like we talked with Coach, a tough early season schedule here for you all.
I feel that as coming out of high school and then even moving from states, it's a big change. Different people, different faces, maybe even different style. But I guess as a team and new players or returners, we got in it together. We bonded fast, and then we got a slow start, but then we were starting to catch up. And then we could see from yesterday's game, it was a tough loss. But I feel that it's part of the game. We learn and we move.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. Well, you both making your debut here on Tornado Talk. So I do want to sort of tell each of your story a little bit to our audience here. And Colin, let's start with you, out of Milledgeville, Georgia. Coach, let us know, you've been around college soccer for a little while, but, as far as that, eligibility goes, you still got a couple of seasons left. But out of Milledgeville, Georgia, you transferred here to Brevard College. But take us through your soccer journey. When did you start playing? And then how did it evolve from there, and starting to get serious, then ultimately, to the college stage here?
No, I've been playing for, as long as I can remember. And then club, I always played club, and then our high school team, we won 2 state championships. So and that was good. But probably, I think I knew pretty early on that I was serious about it and I wanted to pursue it in college. And then I committed to Francis Marion going into my senior year. Played there for 2 years, but I didn't get as much playing time as I needed to stay there. But I mean, it was really good in terms of development and getting used to the level. Just like being able to get used to different cultures and bonding with the team was ultimately like very important on like where I am today. And then transferring here, I think so far has been a really good move in terms of the team, like the team spirit and the environment. I think everybody gets along really well. And I think this year with the people we have and the talent we have, we can go really far.
Outstanding. And also with us, Luis Portillo, the freshman defender from Miami, Florida. Luis, tell us about your soccer journey. When did you first touch a soccer ball, and take us from there?
As long as I remember, as well as I was little, always loved the sport, had a passion from it, and then it just grew within time. So I was always playing clubs since middle school. I moved from when I was 8. I moved over here to the United States from Venezuela, and from there I started playing soccer way more. Then high school, new opportunities came in. The work ethic, I could say, is one of my best things I have. And my senior year, I transferred for another high school. We made it to Final Four in states, and then we're here now. I feel that the team spirit, everything is like same goals. So it's like really, really good for yourself and for the people around you because you have the same mentality, same goals, and everyone wants to push forward and learn.
Yeah, and Luis, you mentioned, you're from Venezuela originally, moved to Miami, and now you're up here in the mountains of Western North Carolina. How do you like it up here?
It's different because, as people know, in Florida, it's really hot. There's not such thing as cold or like winter, so it's really different. To be honest, I never been around mountains a lot, so it's really like different from me, and like yeah.
And Colin, you mentioned sort of, the how you're enjoying the soccer side of things. Tell us a little bit how you're enjoying the area and coming here to Brevard College overall.
Yeah, I mean, it's so nice. Like my old school, everything was 20 minutes away, but you got everything you need. The downtown's right here. The Ingles is 2 seconds away. So Cookout, 2 minutes. So, I mean, you got everything you need.
There you go. Might need to hit up Cookout for a little sponsorship here for Tornado Talk, since they're giving them shout outs. You never know, right? Very good. Colin McCabe and Luis Portillo joining us here on Tornado Talk. Colin, tell us a little more, what it's like to be a member of this Brevard College men's soccer team. Incredibly diverse group, guys from all over the world, but also, I notice there's this combination of you guys in sort of a professionalism and putting your head down and working incredibly hard when you need to, but also you guys have a lot of fun too.
No, yeah, I agree. I mean, the team, everybody, like you said, is from everywhere, but I think we all have things in common. We all get along really well. And then, I mean, I think we're all just like really good friends off the field too. Like even in the dining hall, you go there, you look for people on your team. Doesn't really matter who, you sit with them, you talk. Even after this, like I'll go hang out with Rocco and some of the guys he's making dinner. So it's just good. Always hang out with everybody. Just if you have a good relationship off the field, it's so much easier to be a team on the field.
Yeah, and Luis, tell us a little more about that. How the fun part of being a member of the Tornadoes men's soccer team.
Yeah, I completely agree. One of the good things, right? That we know how to like when to have fun and when to have like take things serious. So, for example, like on the way to the game, we could be more serious or even have fun. But then when we step into a field or even warm up, we already know that like what we want and what's business. So I feel like I really like that. And then off the field, it's all friends. We hang out like any day. Like I feel like it's more like a family than just teammates, and that's a good thing about the sport. That like you have more like friends or like long friends than just teammates at the end of the season.
Outstanding stuff. Colin McCabe, let us know what you're up to academically. What are you working on in terms of your major?
Yeah, so I'm a business major. I'll graduate like in the summer. I'll do an internship and get that done with. But yeah, classes, not too bad. I have 2 yoga classes. That's helping. Really getting the legs stretched out for the long
let's touch on that real quickly. How does the yoga class help you as a soccer student athlete?
Oh, I mean, I have yoga 1, which is like more stretching. So he asks whatever's tight that week, and we stretch on that. And then our restorative yoga, 30 minutes after that, it's all like sleep based. So I bring a pillow and a blanket, sit on my yoga mat, lay down. It's amazing.
And earn college credits. Earn college credits at the same time, huh?
Earn college credits for this. It's crazy.
Brilliant. Great stuff. Luis Portillo, a freshman here at Brevard College, I'm sure, you've taken a survey around, and don't expect you to have it all figured out yet, but have you zeroed in on a major and what you want to study here?
So my major right now that I'm trying to study is computer engineering, right? And then that's off right now. Right now I'm just taking off the requirements that I need for that major, and then I don't know, I have to give time.
Outstanding. Great stuff, each of you, Colin McCabe and Luis Portillo. Well, before we let you go, it's a tradition here on Tornado Talk. You have the opportunity for shout outs. Anybody you want to, give a little shout to before we let you go. Colin McCabe, you're up first.
No, obviously, shout out my family, and then shout out my teammates. I think that's about it, to be honest. Those are all the people I want to mention.
Very good. Luis Portillo, shout outs?
Same. Shout out to my parents always supporting me. One of the people here that always have my back off the field and on the field, I could say Hayden. And then my team back home, Los Galácticos. Yeah.
Very nice. Well done, each of you, on this debut appearance on Tornado Talk. Good luck tomorrow at Maryville, and then on Saturday versus Emory. We can't wait to see you back here on campus after those road trips. And keep up the great work. We'll be there every step of the way with you.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, there they go. We're going to quickly switch gears once again, and we're going to turn from football to American football, and Brevard College head football coach Bill Khayat is set to join us here, and joined now by Coach Khayat. Coach Khayat, thanks for joining the program.
Good to see you, Phil. Appreciate you having me, and I sure hope to be as entertaining as Coach Simo was last week. So I'll give it a whirl.
Hey, they're still talking about that appearance, Coach Khayat, and thank you for helping set that one up. You can go back in the archives and give it a watch, folks, if you want to check out Coach Simo from last week. Really in a big, addition to this coaching staff. And we've talked about it before, Coach, but would love for you to, maybe we can kick off with that, just how critical it is for you to have guys like Simo, as your right hand here and able to, make this all work here at Brevard College.
Well, obviously, education is a critical component to success in any facet of life. And you need great leadership when you have the numbers that we have on the football roster. And I'd like to have a good blend of coaches, both regarding age and experience, and then also the places that they've been, the way they see things, because everything is different depending on what type of lens you're looking through. So, and with these the numerous players that we have on the team, they're not all going to be naturally attracted to one coach. So I like to have a nice diverse staff so they can find somebody that they can relate to, talk to, because there's so much information to be learned between the ages of 17. We actually have one that's 16, but 17 to 23. And I want to be certain that there are enough outlets for these players to be able to get the education they need, both on the football field and off the field as well.
Well, on the field, most recently, a hard-fought battle under the lights on Saturday. Averett comes away with the 17-14 lead victory in that one. If you look at the series history, it's been very, very close back and forth between these two squads. Coach, from your perspective, now that some time has passed since that result, kind of put a bow on the Averett-Brevard matchup, and what it means for this club moving forward.
Right. Well, you have to treat each team, each season differently. So the things that may have applied for 2019 that we used to win the Scotty Whitelaw Bowl may not necessarily apply to the spring 2021 team, which wins a USA South division title. And not the same that you use for the 2022 team. So every year you have to look at the makeup of your roster and what coaching techniques, what style of practice, all these different things. How will they be the most effective for the team that you have? And, that's really what we were working on really through the first 3 games, which were all non-conference, was really to define our identity. And one thing that we learned, obviously, from the first few games was that we just got off to such a slow start, dug ourselves such a deep hole in the game. It took all the energy in the world to fight back just to try to tie it in the fourth quarter, only to run out of steam and lose that momentum and end up losing the game. So the way we restructured practice, we put plenty of emphasis on the first quarter. And, what I didn't think of as a coach at the time was when you see people, oftentimes in cartoons and things like that, where somebody will be granted a wish by a genie, and they make a wish and they get their wish, but they weren't super specific about every single thing that they needed in that wish. So I really wanted our guys to win the first quarter. It was imperative that we win the first quarter. And they fought and they clawed and they scratched. And just before the end of the first quarter, we go up 7-3. It was everything that we had hoped for. I just forgot to make the wish to not go down 14-0 in the second quarter. So we ended up with a deficit again at the half. But much like we've done so far this year, we really battled back. And in the second half, we shut them out. We won 7-0 in the second half. The unfortunate part was our winning 7-0 in the second half wasn't better than their winning in the first half. So when it was all said and done, we came away 3 points short.
Yeah, Coach, and some big performances across the Tornado roster in that one, including one of our guests last week on Tornado Talk, Grequencio Koger, just a lights out game at that linebacker position. He was honored by the USA South Conference as Defensive Player of the Week. I would love for you to comment on Koger's performance, but also the defense in general coming up big at times.
Yeah, and I think that anyone that watches the games and knows anything about us, that we've made a change at defensive coordinator for this year. So Martin Bayless is now running the defense, and it's far different than anything that we had done in the past. And then we have 2 co-coordinators in Ladarius Wiley and Josh Romero. So it's completely new leadership, and it's a whole different thing for these guys to learn. So that's an element that could get lost in those that watch the game that may not know that there was a huge amount of classroom time that needed to be done for these guys to understand what it is they need to do. And still, you have to apply that on the field. So you might know it in the classroom, but when it's happening 100 miles an hour out on that field, there's a very good chance that mistakes could be made. You don't get to just sit there. It's not a take-home exam and you have unlimited time. I mean, this is split-second decisions. So the fact that our defense is able to perform as such is quite impressive to me, which means we have some great teachers out there, but we also have some willing participants as students, in this case, football players, that are learning that information and applying it on the field. Now, when it comes to Koger specifically, one thing you may not know about Koger is that last year he had a season-ending injury, and for a lot of people, it could be a career-ending injury. So he had a real wicked knee injury, and did everything that he needed to do in the offseason to be prepared, because typically when things happen at the end of a football season like that, it's rare that you could really perform at the start of the next football season. And if you do perform, I don't know that it's going to be Player of the Week caliber. So that really speaks to how he prepares himself, how he trains, the way he learns. So it's not just, hey, he got Player of the Week. There's a lot more behind all of that. So I think it's exceptional that he was honored with that award.
Yeah, he's been outstanding these last 2 games. Hampton-Sydney as well, the graduate student out of Macon, Georgia. Congratulations to Grequencio. Yeah, and you mentioned the defense in that Averett matchup shuts out Averett for that entire second half. No points allowed. And last one for me on Averett, Coach, when I look at the offense, I can't help but notice in that third quarter, an 11-play, 99-yard drive capped off by a 22-yard run from Chancellor Lee Parker. Whenever you see a 99-yard drive, that gets your attention. Would love for it from your perspective as far as, how does a team construct a 99-yard drive? What are the elements that goes into that? And, perhaps in particular, that one against Averett?
patience and concentration. Those two elements are really important to be able to get that done. So you don't have to get all 99 yards in one try. Now, Mitch Yoder probably doesn't want us to do that either because he holds a record for a 97-yard run against Methodist a few years back. So I'm sure he didn't want Chance taking that first carry and going 99. But the very first thing you have to do is get yourself out of the end zone, because you don't want to be punting backed up. And anybody that understands what that means is now the punter is so much closer to the snapper. There's a very good chance that thing gets blocked and it's 2 points or 6 points or 7 points for the opponent. So you got to give yourself some breathing room at the start. And then once you get out of there, then you can cycle into your regular offense. But that's a lot of plays. And during that time, things can go wrong, which they did for us. We ended up with a 5-yard penalty during the drive. Okay, well, we got to get those 5 yards back on top of the 10 yards we need to get a first down. So you just need to be patient with it and take your time and concentrate on each play so that you execute them properly, because it's the poor execution that leads a team to go backwards. And obviously that's the last thing that you want to do when you're trying to score points. And it's a long way. As wonderful as Hugo Taylor has been for us this year, kicking field goals and extra points, that's a long haul to get into his range. So you just take it one first down at a time. That's really what you do. And then you see what the momentum is at that point and see what's working for you. And you go on to the next one. But, that was quite impressive. And, we speak about it as a coaching staff. Yes, I understand we lost the game, but there were so many incredible things that happened during that game. So, when you talk about this non-conference schedule as a whole, sure, if somebody calls me and asks me, "Hey, coach, how you doing? How's the season going thus far?" You want to cringe because you got to say 0-3, so that's tough for those words to come out of your mouth. But for those that understand, I've been quite impressed with 0-3. I know that sounds terrible as a coach to say, but when you really analyze the things that took place during this non-conference schedule, we have grown significantly from where we've been in the past. And believe it or not, we were 0-3 last year out of conference and finished with a very strong 5-2 in conference play. And this is really our strong suit. This is when all of the work that we put in during those non-conference games really comes to light. And you can see it from 6-2 in the conference, 5-2 in the conference, 5-2 in the conference, 2-1. I still say it's 3-1 in the conference in spring in 2021. But nonetheless, you see that we really, really perform well when it comes to the USA South because of the difficult schedule that we play in that non-conference time.
Well, speaking of the USA South Conference, we're here. It's Maryville week, and it's the start of USA South Conference play. 5 o'clock on Saturday. It's going to be a great atmosphere at Islamel Family Field. It's homecoming, all the alumni coming back onto campus as well. But Coach, heading into USA South Conference play, this first opponent in Maryville, this week obviously critical, and now conference wins are absolutely paramount.
And one thing you got to remember about football that is far different than some of these other sports in the USA South, that we don't get a conference tournament. We're not playing for positioning or doing any of that. The bottom line is, if you want to go to the playoffs, you have to win the conference. So in other words, every single game you play, in this case, this year, we're only playing 7 of the 8 teams. We don't get to play NC Wesleyan, and that was because of the addition of Belhaven. So it would take 2 years for the schedule to really shake out. So it won't be until next year. That would be the 3rd year where we get to play everybody. But basically every game is a playoff game. And we have to approach it as such, because we don't want to have to fall into that window of watching another team and pulling for someone to beat somebody so that they can beat somebody else and worrying about all that stuff. So all we can do is beat the only opponent that we play on Saturday, which in this case is Maryville. So they're coming off a 3-0 non-conference schedule. We're coming off 0-3. But so would they have some momentum? Would they be feeling good about themselves? Certainly. but I've let the team know about their accomplishments during our 0-3 run, and for them not to be hanging their head, for not to be going in there feeling meek and weak, but to be ready to go. And we will have them prepared for this match. It's a team that we have seen. It's the same team we've been playing year after year because it's the same leadership in Coach Fox. Their style of play hasn't changed. So they really have a formula that they use, and it's the same players that have been out there. So much like we played Averett last week with a lot of those seniors, you'll see that in Maryville this week. They're anchored on the left side of the offensive line with seniors. Their defensive line is all seniors. And then the guy that is young is their quarterback, and he's one of the most spectacular in the conference. So they do have a lot of weapons to do the things that they want to do. However, they can also run into the buzzsaw known as the Brevard College Tornadoes, who have beaten them every year dating back to 2018.
Should be an outstanding matchup as we turn the page to USA South Conference play. It's also homecoming, Coach. I know this is always, a special event here at Brevard College. It creates a great atmosphere at the game. And we've got so many alums, involved with Brevard College football, whether, they're supporting the team from afar or part of the coaching staff, as you described. Would love for kind of your take on, the Brevard College football alumni culture that is being built here with the Tornadoes.
Well, the most obvious spot that you see it is on the coaching staff. When you look at the number of players that have come through during the time that I've been here as the head coach that are now on the coaching staff. So it lets you know that the environment must be such that they want to come back, meaning it's a wonderful place to be. It's a place that would bring them joy, because certainly you're not going to want to get up and go to work every day at a place that makes you miserable. And I know I don't pay them enough for them to say, hey, I'll just accept the paycheck. So they really are doing it for the love of the culture that we have. But then the people over the years that have played, and even ones that didn't play for me, people that were here before it was even a 4-year institution, just so many wonderful phone calls, emails, text messages, visits when they come to campus, talking over the fence prior to a game or after a game. And they've just been really impressed with the things that we've done. And, we've listed them before on this show. And it's not just the wins. I mean, that is one wonderful thing to say, is that, you're part of a winner and a winning culture and winning teams. But it's also all of the other atmospheres that have been created during the time that we've been here, from moving onto campus and playing the games at Ives Lamel, and the beautiful field house, the locker rooms, the practice fields. I mean, everything. I mean, the list would go on and on. I take up your whole show listing all of those incredible things that make that alumni group proud. And they've just been fantastic for us, because it gives the kids a sense that this is a legitimate program, that this isn't just some fly-by-night outfit and you just show up and play and get out and all that. It really means something to don that blue and white with, for us, the gray trim. And it's very important to us to represent that alumni group for all of the things that they did to pave the way for the guys that are here now.
Well said, Coach. If you can stick with us just a couple moments longer as we head into the big homecoming matchup versus Maryville, 5 o'clock on Saturday, we're going to invite in a couple of the football student athletes into the program, as Ben Ellis and Cooper Hogan are joining the show. Coach Khayat, before we let you go, help introduce these two to NATO Nation.
Okay. Shouldn't be too difficult. All right. So we'll start on the left, at least on my screen anyway, with Ben Ellis. So Ben Ellis started out at a previous institution, and we were able to, luckily enough, get him to come join us. Ben Ellis has a fine history in playing with his hand on the ground. So for guys that don't understand what that means, on a defense, there are people that are standing up playing defense, and there are guys that are down with their hand on the ground, ready to get after it. And so he's had a long history in that and was very good at doing that. And we have asked him in his time since he's been here to also work from standing. And what that means is when you're now standing up in great space, that is a very difficult transition. It's far easier to go the other way because now it's wide open, it's mobile. There's a lot more thinking involved, and for him to be able to perform the way he has, the growth he's had from his time with us last year to what he's doing this year has been remarkable. And all of that work was put in. You could see it as soon as he ripped his shirt off to take the run test back in August. You knew that he had done everything he needed to do to prepare. And what did he prepare himself? For 2 incredible plays during the Averett game. You mentioned the 99-yard drive. We don't have a 99-yard drive if Ben Ellis doesn't come off that left side now with his hand in the ground, come off that left side, play a quarterback and the running back at the same time, take that running back down short of the goal line and give us the ball. It was a huge stop and an incredible play. And that kind of paints a picture of what his season has been like and what the rest of the season will be like for Ben. Okay, Cooper Hogan. All right, this one's easy. All right, so if anybody's ever seen those old pictures of the Empire State Building being built and the guys up on the steel girders or the hard hats and the lunchbox, or you see guys that worked in the West Virginia coal mines and they got the dirt on the face and you can tell it's been a hard day's work. That's what Cooper Hogan looks like every single time he comes off the practice field and the game field, because he will give you every single thing he has, and he doesn't ever want to come off the field saying, boy, I could have done more to help us. A lot of these catches that he's made this year have been off of broken plays, which means now you need somebody to make a play rather than it's just easily created. And he's done that time and time again for us this year. The only negative thing I can say about him is sometimes he needs to come off the field because he's got nothing left in the tank, and it's hard for him to be able to be mobile enough to do the things that I need to get him off the field. So these are great representations of Brevard College football, what we're all about, and I think that you're going to see the kind of players that they are based on the answers that they give.
Outstanding. Well, appreciate that, head coach Bill Khayat. All the best this week in the preparation for Maryville. We'll see you at Islamel Family Field this weekend. Big homecoming matchup, 5 o'clock on Saturday. Thanks for joining the show, Coach.
I appreciate you having me, Phil. Thanks a lot.
All right, there he goes, head coach Bill Khayat, and he helped introduce these two down in that lower location now. BC football student athlete, part of that linebacking corps, Ben Ellis. Ben, thanks for joining the program.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, great to have you aboard. And also Cooper Hogan joining the show as well, wide receiver for the Tornadoes. How you doing, Cooper?
I'm doing pretty good. Thank you for having me.
Well, great to have each of you here. Well, Ben, I know the result you all weren't looking for as far as, you know, the Averett matchup under the lights. But I know, as Coach said, a lot of things to feel good about as far as, you know, different parts of that equation and so forth. And now it's game week for the USA South Conference, Maryville coming to town on Saturday. Tell us sort of, you know, the mentality of the team today, Monday of game week versus Maryville.
Well, like you said, it's been tough. You know, 0-3 is, you know, it's not something you want to say, but it's been one of those where it's like it's a couple plays here and there that we're just not making. And that's what's good about the first 3 games is we get those, you know, mistakes. We're allowed to make those coming into conference play. You know, it's one of those where now that we're in conference, you know, we need to win every game. It's, you know, those mistakes can't happen. But it hasn't been games where it's like, you know, we're just not playing good. It's here and there, you know, little mistakes that can be fixed. And as a team, I mean, we're as strong as can be. I mean, I feel like if anything, losing these 3 games is making us stronger. And I mean, we're ready to take that next step. We're ready to keep going. And, you know, I feel like this game coming up, it's going to show that.
Cooper Hogan would love your perspective on that same question, the mentality of the team this week.
Yeah, I agree with Ben 100%. And with it being conference week in Maryville, it's do or die. I mean, we got to win. And like Ben said, 0-3 is not where you want to be, but also it's not a bad 0-3. It's not sitting here hanging your head 0-3, and this team's not going to do that. We're too tough physically and mentally to let this 0-3, this record, define who we are.
Yeah, well said, and a great mentality to have heading into the big USA South Conference matchup. And Cooper, looking ahead to this matchup. I know guys haven't gone into specific game planning yet and that kind of thing, but as far as the sort of performance you guys are going to have to put forward to get back on track in terms of the win column versus Maryville. What's the thinking heading into this Saturday game?
I definitely think the offensive side, we're going to have to attack the ball. I mean, we're going to have the ball majority of the game and establish a run so we can open up the pass. And I think we'll pick them apart. I really don't think those DBs can hold the receiving core. And so, yeah, I think we're going to have a field day.
And Ben, same question for you from the defensive perspective.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit like Coach Khayat said. It's the same thing. Whereas Averett, there was a lot of older guys on that O line, just like Maryville. There's a lot of older people. I just feel like, it's going to start up front. It's going to start with the D line. But I have a really good feeling. We're gonna strike them. And we're gonna be physical up front. And then from there, we just have the DB core that, in my opinion, is the best in the conference. So just as far as the whole defense together, I just feel like we're going to play a good game in general, and we're all going to come together, and it's going to show that.
And Ben, you mentioned the DB core. I would like to mention the core that you're a part of as well, this linebacking core. Quincio Koger wins Defensive Player of the Week this week. He's been lights out. Yourself with all sorts of contributions. Veteran like Toby Naylor, part of that group as well, amongst several others. Tell us a little bit about you all as a linebacking core, how you guys work together, and the sort of focus you all have, and a little bit about that group.
Yeah, like you said, we're old as ourselves. Toby's in his senior year. Koger's also a graduate senior. So we are older, and that shows as far as knowledge and stuff. And I feel like with having an older group, and especially that we've been together now for a couple of years at least, that we're really starting to come together, and it's really starting to show just how we play with each other. We're always got each other's back, and it shows in the game. Just us always being together, and just the way we play, the way it shows. And I just feel like as far as a team, just defensive wise, it's a good group, and it shows that for sure.
Also joined by Cooper Hogan, and would like to talk about the receiving core with you, Cooper. You led the team in receptions and in receiving yards against Averett, 6 catches for 55 yards. 9 different receivers caught passes in that game. So really, Ethan Beamish finding all sorts of targets, throughout the game. And each of you guys sort of bring a different dimension as far as your style and your strengths and so forth, whether it's yourself, Adam Douglas, Zachary Orr, Jordan Rao, Kyle Lovett, Reggie Taylor, Jack Spots, all these guys getting catches from the receiving core this past game. But, same question for you, Cooper. Tell us about that receiving core, the sort of things you guys work hard at, and what it's like to be a member of that core here at the Brevard College.
Yeah, like you said, a lot of people getting a lot of catches. And I like to think of it as our receiving core is as good from the first receiver all the way to the 10th, 11th, 12th. It doesn't matter who's coming in. You're going to get a little bit of everybody. And as a guy across the ball, whenever you have one guy that comes in for 3 plays, he gets 3 catches. Then you have another guy come in, he has 2 catches. I mean, it mixes things up. And having that establishment of everybody can make fireworks, I mean, it's fun to watch. And also having almost an established line, O-line, and a great quarterback and a great running back. I mean, the offense going to make fireworks come Maryville.
Yeah, but no doubt about that. Cooper, tell us a little bit what it's like catching passes from quarterback Ethan Beamish.
I tell you, Ethan is a funny guy. He's a great guy to be in the huddle with. He's a great guy on and off the field. And he's electric too himself, watching him make some of the plays he makes. He keeps plays alive, and it makes things interesting. Yeah, he's a good dude, athletic dude.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun to watch, that offense in action, no doubt about it. Cooper Hogan, joined by Cooper Hogan, also Ben Ellis. Well, Cooper, tell us a little bit about your background. You're junior wide receiver out of New London, North Carolina, but tell us about your football journey. When did you get started, back home, and ultimately finding your way here to Brevard College?
Yeah, I mean, I started playing football at a young age. My dad played football in college at App State, and he taught me from a young age. He made it clear that he wanted me to play football. I played football, baseball, and basketball, so I was year-round playing something. And I got to high school. I went to a small high school, North Stanley in New London, North Carolina, and you don't have much recruiting around that area. You have a couple guys go big from that area, but not really. And so from that journey, I got in contact with a couple coaches here. Coach Hoff, he's our special teams coach, and Coach Gueve, who's at Virginia Tech now. He's not here, but he put me in contact with Hoff, and then started that journey to get here. And then COVID impacted me very much so, and with other offers. And then God put me in this place, and God gave me this opportunity. So I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, glad you found your way to Brevard College as well. And also joined by Ben Ellis, the junior out of Mooresville, North Carolina, and, transfer from Barton College. But, take us back even before that, Ben, as far as when you got going, with the football and, ultimately finding your way to college football and where you are today.
Yeah. When I was younger, my mom was the first one to really get me into sports, even at a young age, the first thing she put in my hand was a football, and she would make me sit down with her and always, watch the NFL games. And she was just a big influence on just sports in general. And just leading up, I didn't really get serious with football, I would say, until, late junior year into senior year. I really started taking it serious. I realized, like if I want to go to college, I need to be playing a sport because it helps motivate me. So I realized, I didn't have any offers, didn't have anything going into senior year. And I just realized, it was going to take work. And luckily, I worked hard. And after senior year, I came to Brevard for a visit. And, I loved it here. I loved the coaches. And, that's when I first met Khayat. And, it was a place I really enjoyed. And, I was blessed to have a couple other offers later, which I took Barton. But just to come back here, it was meant to be in my eyes because, it was the first place I'd visit, and I really enjoyed being here.
Really cool how it comes full circle like that, Ben. Well, before we let each of you go, Cooper, tell us a little bit what you're up to in the classroom.
Oh, yeah. So I'm a business major, and I want to be an entrepreneur one day, kind of create my own business, make a little money. Yeah, I'm a business major. Yes, sir.
Very good. And Ben Ellis, let us know what you're working on academically.
Yeah, I'm finishing up my criminal justice degree, and that's what I want to get into, becoming a state trooper. That's definitely, how I want my life to turn out.
Very good. Both two outstanding academic programs here at Brevard College. So keep up the great work there as well, fellas. Well, before we let you go, give you the opportunity for any shout outs or thank yous. Anyone who's helped you along the way, anybody who might be tuning into this program, either live or on replay. The floor is yours, Cooper Hogan. Shout outs.
Yeah, I just want to shout out God. I wouldn't be here without him. And shout out my parents and shout out the receiving corps. Keep grinding, keep working.
Well said. Ben Ellis.
Definitely, like Cooper said, God first. Family definitely wouldn't be here without them. Friends from back home, love them to death, and just the team in general. I love my brothers, and we're gonna keep fighting for sure.
Outstanding. Cooper Hogan and Ben Ellis. Really enjoyed having you both here on Tornado Talk this evening. Can't wait to see you in action on Saturday, 5 o'clock, homecoming week. There's going to be all sorts of excitement surrounding the game, and can't wait to see you all take on Maryville and get this USA South Conference season started. Thanks, Cooper and Ben, for joining the program.
Yeah, thank you.
Sir, thank you.
And that'll do it for another edition of Tornado Talk. I want to thank all of our guests from football, men's soccer, and women's soccer as well. Big homecoming weekend this week. Be sure to come on out, especially Saturday, see these student athletes in action. There'll be a women's soccer game at 11 a.m., brunch with the Tornadoes. And then 5 p.m., the football team taking on Maryville in the big homecoming game. All sorts of excitement around campus. Go to brevard.edu for the full homecoming schedule. Well, big thanks to all of our guests, to you, NATO Nation, for continuing to support the Tornadoes, and appreciate everybody helping behind the scenes as well. Cassie Hutto, Emily Denega helping with some production support, and also our producer, sports information director, Joseph Marvin. That'll do it for another edition of Tornado Talk. See you at Islamel Family Field on Saturday for the homecoming games. Go Tornadoes.